let's get on to the next story. This next story is from. Hold on, my browser just reset. From Megyn Kelly. Well, actually, it's not from Megyn Kelly. Just she's actually the one that we're highlighting from this. The story of the movie The Blind Side, which would at least be 20 years old. Would that be right? At least
2009, the movie was released. So it's what,
2009.
15 years? Yep,
15
years
years.
old.
Which is a story of a family, a wealthy family that to help out a struggling young. Let me say what as it is, a rich white family adopted or put into conservatorship, and that's kind of important later on. A young black kid who was from a home that his mother was an addict and stuff like that, and he then became a famous football player, played in the NFL and everything like that, and now 15 years after the movie was released, and then obviously many years after all this stuff's happened, Michael Oher
Michael Oher. O-H-R. Yeah.
Oher.
Oh, is it? O-H-E-R, is it?
Oher. Or Michael Oher is now suing the family for something like $15 million or something like that, and he's saying that they stole money from him and put him in a conservatorship because they were just trying to do business dealings with him, take advantage of him and stuff like that, which is quite interesting. That when we say conservatorship, obviously the biggest one we hear is Britney Spears, being in the news about a conservatorship. That's the only thing I knew about a conservatorship, is when someone is kind of mentally unable to look after themselves and someone else is appointed as pretty much being in control of their decisions. Michael Oher the Tuohy family wanted to adopt him, but because he was 18, the only way that he could actually become a part of the family and be helped by them, and then them kind of help him through his journey, was them to become conservators over him and his world. But now it seems like, Dr. Rod, he's biting the hand that fed him. And it seems like he's now, many years later now, his football career is over. Who knows what the inside story is? Apparently he's in a new relationship now, whatever that maybe they're saying it's his girlfriend or wife or whoever it is that's now trying to push him to try to make more money, and he's trying to release new books or trying to create some controversy around it, whatever. But what do you think it is that makes someone turn on the people that love them? Turn on. Now, you think of he's like, well, all this money I could have made and all this or whatever. Yeah, but they invested a lot of time and money into him. They helped him get through school and helped him read and write and all that sort of stuff. They opened up their home to him, just gave him love. If they did nothing else but just gave him a home of love and support. How do we get off as humans trying to get our own and everything like that, and not see the value of people that have actually contributed to our journey?
Oh, look, this is a tough one. I don't know whether I'm allowed to use this expression here, but the more I delved into this story, the more I was saying to myself, holy moly. What a sad thing in terms of family. look, I guess we will never understand the motivations going on here. We might be seeing effect, but we've got no real idea what the causes are here. The movie was released in 2009. There was a book of the same title, of course, that the movie was based on. The Tuohys themselves wrote a book called In a Heartbeat, which was published, I think, shortly after the movie was released. My understanding is that Michael had some quibbles about the movie, which he expressed pretty much at the time it was released. So maybe this ought not to have been a big shock to everybody. But strangely enough, one of the things that went through my mind was, it's only $15 million. So I don't know whether this is a vindictive court case. The family are worth a lot more than that.
Yeah.
If you've ever eaten at Taco Bell, the Tuohy family, Sean Tuohy owned that. I don't know whether he still does, but certainly back then he owned the Taco Bell chain of fast food stores and some others that are reasonably well known in the United States, not so much internationally. So one of the things that has been going through my mind is, why only $15 million? I know some of the conservative commentators have been scathing in their criticism of him on exactly the grounds that you've mentioned, that here we have a Christian family who took him in, they provided for him, they encouraged him, and he had a fairly good run in the NBL until injury
NFL.
forced him out. NFL, sorry.
Yep. NBL is a very, very different game.
Yeah, you know me in sport, mate. You know me in sport. Sean Tuohy had a fairly decent career himself, I think, but that might have been... Anyway, look, I'm not even going to try, because you know me in sport. We're not good friends. We're hardly even acquainted. But anyway, he had a pretty good run. He became fairly well known. I just have a sense of sadness here. And you do see these things happen in families and where children have been adopted. In this case, it wasn't an adoption, as you've explained, for legal reasons. That couldn't be the case. But it appears as if he willingly entered into that conservatorship. And now he's saying, well, actually, I didn't get out of it what I should have. I don't know to what extent legal niceties are mixed up here, that it has to be something which is dealt with by the courts. I just think there's so much information we don't know.
Yeah.
But I always do feel it's very, very sad when these kinds of issues within family become something which is aired so publicly. And then people seem to take sides pretty quickly. I really did appreciate Megyn Kelly's approach. I think she's one of the best. I watch her podcast fairly frequently. She's well researched and she's very temperate. And she's not as inclined to attack the individual as many others are. Yeah. So, I've got a great deal of respect for her. She's a very good interviewer.
On that, as we always say, is check out the link below. I'll put a link to Megyn Kelly's report on this. I watched a bunch of different reports on this, a lot of conservative reports, and hers was the most factual, the one that wasn't, as you say, wasn't a personal attack. It was very factual. It actually shared a lot of information that I wasn't aware of, that after doing my own research on this for a long time, she actually brought up a whole bunch of other information. So check out that if you want to know the detail of the story. But I kind of want to step to the metaphor of this we can learn as leaders, because we don't know the full story. They may have taken advantage of him. They may have not treated him well or whatever. Who knows? Who knows exactly what happened? However, the one thing I do want to share is I've had leaders that have treated me poorly. I've had leaders that have taken advantage of me and stuff. But I can still look back on them and go, okay, they didn't treat me good in this particular area. But you know what? Without them opening up that door, I wouldn't have had that experience. I wouldn't have been introduced to this person. I wouldn't have developed my skill set in particular areas. Like I've had people that have opened up opportunities for me to speak on stage and develop my speaking skills. I've had people open up the opportunity for me to develop my skills with coaching and to develop my skills with technologies and stuff like that. And there's lots of people that have opened up the doors for me that didn't treat me all that well. But you know what? Without them as part of my journey, I would definitely not be the person that I am. I wouldn't be the coach that I am, wouldn't be the business owner that I am, and probably wouldn't be the father and husband that I am without those people that have helped contribute that journey. And I think it's sad that someone that was literally brought into a family is now quite negative towards the people that open up their home. Whether they took advantage of him or not, you have to be able to understand or have to appreciate. And I'm not seeing, out of like seeing reports from him and everything like that, I'm not seeing any acknowledgement that, I mean, there's one part of Megan's thing where they showed an interview of him where he's like, oh, they made me out to be that I couldn't read, but I was doing plays and stuff like that. It's like, can't you just go, yeah, you know what? They did help me read. Like they did actually spend extra time with me and help me get through my homework and stuff. Like, can't we just, why is it that we can't appreciate, even if someone's done wrong by us, that we can't appreciate what they have done for us?
Oh, I would agree with you on that subject matter 100%. And generally speaking, as Christians, we're told don't sue people, don't take people into court. That should be a last resort. You need to be able to sort it out in other ways. And look, maybe I just don't like conflict, but my general attitude whenever I've been exploited, and that's happened once or twice, God will vindicate me. God will look after me because God is my provider and my protector. So ultimately, I look to Him. So I honestly can't say whether it's just because I'm shy, lack courage, or whatever. But it's not the path I would take. It's not the path I've taken in the past either. But I've never had the opportunity to pocket $15 million either. So I don't know, Craig, but I think the general principle is that Christians, we should keep out of the courts as much as we possibly can. Not easy to do in this day and age. It's definitely not easy to do when insurance is involved.
Yeah.
So, it's a very, very difficult area to navigate. It saddens me that he's making negative comments publicly about the family. But it's not just for them, it's for him as well. I mean, just the pain that comes from this public airing of grievances, I think it's just not nice to observe it. Look, I should add, by the way, that I've seen a couple of interviews that he's done on Christian television networks. I think it was TBN. I watch a few and I can't remember which network I saw it on. But there were a couple of interviews on, I think it was TBN, and they showed a different side to Michael Oher as well. And it might be that this is more like some kind of contractual dispute rather than a kind of family breakdown and that kind of thing. It's just very difficult to know.
Yeah.
But the sadness I feel is that this is all leaked out into the public arena, and a whole lot of commentators on both sides, actually, the right and the left, conservative and the progressives, have sort of jumped on this, and they're making hay out of it. And I just don't like to see that at all. So maybe one of the lessons we can take as leaders is, listen, do everything you can to keep family disputes out of the public eye. And
and to go a little bit broader about that with what you say is like, just don't be public with grievances and stuff like that. My question to you, and this is something we kind of spoke about last week in our personal conversations, was yeah, but at what stage do you defend yourself? Now I know vengeance is mine, declares the Lord, and it's for God to judge me. But if someone is spreading bad reports about me in public, at what point do I defend myself, and to how much do I share to actually, because I can't just go, well, I'm just going to let them ruin my name and that's it. Like, I don't know, like how do we manage that practically? Like the biblical, yes, of course, vengeance is mine. Like let God judge between us and everything like that. But in the reality, I could lose my business, I could lose clients, like I can lose my family, I can lose my friends. Like what's how to what level should we actually practically defend ourselves?
Oh, look, that's a really difficult one. And I think I often say this when you ask me questions, don't I? It depends very much on circumstances. I'd be very wary about doing it publicly. I'd probably work on individual relationships and defend myself that way. So if somebody has maligned me publicly, I'm not sure that I would respond in public. Look, I've been in a situation where as a director, where allegations have been made, I felt I couldn't respond. And so whatever mud happened to stick would just have to stick, and I'd have to live with that. I had what I believe were good reasons for keeping silent, partly confidentiality of board meetings, partly the protection of individuals as well. And ultimately, I think we were vindicated, but not because I spoke out, not because I tried to defend myself. Sometimes I think the wise thing to do is just to keep mum, but it's going to depend a lot on the individual circumstances. I note that the Tuohy family haven't really said a lot publicly, and what they have said is certainly not inflamed at the situation. I do recall having seen some remarks made by their lawyers, which could be interpreted as being a bit inflammatory. But and one of the things that I find strange about the American system is how much happens in public before anything gets to
Yes.
court. We're a bit more circumspect over here in Australia, and we don't say too much until after a court case. There seems to be a lot of jockeying that goes on before a court case in the United States, and I think it probably actually undermines justice, frankly. But look, I don't think the Tuohys have been trying too hard to defend their own reputations public, and I think that's fairly wise at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I think back to times when, like, I've had partnerships that haven't gone well, and I've had people that have taken advantage of me or whatever, and I've left. Yeah, and those are actually the reason why I bring up those two Bible verses is they're the mantras that have always gotten me through. Is vengeance is mine, declares the Lord. I'm not gonna try to defend myself. I'm not gonna try to get justice. I'm not gonna try to get revenge or anything like that. That's on God. And as David says to Saul, like, may the Lord judge between us, and so I've always kept that. And there's been a number of times that people have taken advantage of me. It's been kind of, my work is in the public sphere, so people do know about it. And I hear back people saying that the other person has said bad things about me or whatever. But the thing that has kind of always happened in the long term, maybe not short term, but in the long term, I'll always have people come back to me and go, well, I can't actually believe that you're not talking negatively about that person. And I know by your character that's not true what they said about you, because I have kept my mouth shut and continue to speak positively about that person. They may have done bad by me, but they're still a good person generally, or they've got a good purpose, or they've got, they've got some great gifts or skills, and I can still speak positively about them. But that is one thing that has actually gotten me through. That is those Bible verses, those mantras. And yeah, I would agree. In most cases, eventually, the truth will come out. And I think in relation to the conversation that we were having about my personal, challenges that I was facing is, you know what? Who really cares what people think about me if they don't know me personally? Like, the important people know me well enough to know that that's not true about me, and that's all that matters. And if they are someone that believe those false allegations or whatever, then maybe they don't know me as well as they claim to or know. So that's good. As leaders, let's keep our grievances out of the public, and let's protect our relationships. Let's protect our relationships. What are you going to sacrifice to maintain a relationship? Someone that's actually done right by you. They may have done wrong by you in a moment, but let's be honest, there's some things that they've done that have been right by you anyway, and eventually the truth will come out. Vengeance is mine, declares the Lord. Hey, you've just watched an excerpt from the On the Cube Leadership podcast. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If it challenged your leadership or inspired you in some way, put a comment below. And if you want to watch the full episode or more content like this, check out our channel. And hey, consider subscribing while you're there.